Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are back again. And today we are talking about observing and analyzing your habits in order to be able to kind of plan for your own improvement, right? Like, if you're going to start building a new habit, you don't just, you could, but it might not be the best way to just jump right into it. You kind of want to know what you have going for yourself right now. Um, Maybe kind of talk about like why that's so important, right? I mean, what's that? Why should we be doing that?
Yeah, exactly. Part of being able to build new habits successfully is firstly understanding a little bit about how you work with your own habit already. So going back to when we explained about the three parts of a habit, which are the cue, the action, and the reward. If you start observing and tracking the habits that you currently have, and on top of that, paying attention to what's the cue to the behavior and what reward do you get for each of the habits that you will be tracking. Um, so then when you pick your new habits that you're going to start forming, you have a better understanding of what kind of cues already are working for you and what kind of rewards are you looking for out of your habits. So then all you have to do is change the behavior. So for example, if you want to change a bad habit for a better one, you will struggle more if you're not giving yourself a similar parallel type of reward out of a different behavior. So you do have to understand it to this kind of level, so you can succeed more easily when you're trying to create your new habits. So that's the whole point of tracking and observing, and remembering as well to pay attention what are the cues and the rewards that you're getting from your habits, so you can use that to build the new ones that you choose.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the analogy that I always like to use is that like if you go to if you have the amount of money to do this and you go and you buy out a new business, right? You're taking over a business and it's already been established and maybe you're coming in because you think you can make it better. You don't come in and say, all right, scrap everything. This is what we're doing. Because at first you kind of need to get the lay of the land. Like, what is this business doing? How is it working? What are the different departments and what are they doing? And who's playing what vital roles in what? In order to better understand what you have to work with. And then from there, you can start creating the plan as to what do we need to do to move forward to reach these goals, to achieve a certain objective that you may have in mind. And that's why it's so critically important to take the time that is necessary to observe and analyze who you are and what your habits are. Right? Um, I think I forget what book I got this concept from, but it's actually I think it was Full Catastrophe Living by John Kabat-Zinn, and it's all about like mindfulness based meditation therapy and stuff like that. And he always talks about like looking at things with a child's eye, right? Looking at things with the child's perspective. And what he means by that is that don't just go through every single day and just expect it all to kind of like don't go through every day and just like kind of go through it not thinking about it, right? If you think about how a child reacts to new experiences, it's like what is happening, right? Like everything is like groundbreaking revelations. And if you go into observe and analyze yourself, if you go about it the same way you go about every single day, you're not going to really see anything new. You kind of need to just like take a little shift in that mindset and say, let me observe myself as if I've never observed, myself before. Which honestly, there's probably tons of people who've never actually done that. Um,
True.
I knew it took me and probably you too a very long time to get into the habit of like actually being mindful of what are we doing and why are we doing it, right?
And I used to think I was a very self-aware person until I got into coaching. Sorry. I got into coaching and realized how much I wasn't. And it was really to my surprise, to be honest, because I did really think I was a very good with self-awareness. But yeah, once you start practicing, you realize how much you don't observe yourself and you just go about things on the automatic mode, or you do know some things about yourself, but not to the depth where you can really start manipulating things to the way that you want them to be. I don't want to use take control because that's a bit
Yeah, aggressive.
yeah, yeah, it's a bit aggressive. Let's say
No, but
manipulating hack. Yeah.
Yeah. And like totally though. I mean, I remember like on one of my first coaching clients I had, she actually made me very aware of the fact that like when things get like emotionally difficult for another person, I'm in a conversation with them, I don't know how to just kind of be present and just be there and be silent and support in silence. I like to fill that void with like information to like help you get over it. It's just like a habit of mine. And it wasn't until she pointed out that I realized I had this habit that if someone's upset or there's an issue, I feel the need to jump in and just start saying things that I think are going to work. But in that moment, I'm not understanding the other person, right? I'm not being aware of the fact that there is a much important issue happening right now, and that's they're engaging with how they feel. Side conversation. Yeah, but yeah. So if you're watching now, kind of let us know where you're from, because we're starting to kind of get more people tuning in. It would be cool to kind of know where you guys are tuning in from. But anyways, so yeah, when it comes to starting to observe and analyze your habits, some things you need to start to do is one, like I said, come at it from that child's perspective. Two, give yourself some time, right? This isn't something you're going to like look at for 3 hours and have all the answers. I always suggest to people to take 2 or 3 days to really just try to be mindful of what it is you're doing and why you're doing those things. What are the habits that are moving you throughout your day on that automatic mode, like you said? And you either you do it on a piece of paper, or if you're the kind of person that likes to take notes on their phone, whatever works for you. But this is how I always set it up. It's 4 columns, and I am just essentially identifying what is happening. So in that first column, I'm identifying the trigger. In the second column, identifying the action. Third column, identifying the reward. And I know that sounds pretty straightforward and simple, but the point is once you observe that you did something out of a habitual response, like for example, my dad, for my entire life growing up, every day he got home, he would walk in, he'd put his briefcase to the right by the staircase, then he'd walk into the kitchen, he'd make his lunch for the next day, he'd put a little bag of Cheerios, pack that up, bring his suitcase into the kitchen, pack everything into there, close it, bring that upstairs, go and shave like a robot. Like that was his routine. Those are his habits. And these are things that we do either on a scale like that where it's pretty obvious, and there's also smaller things like the example I gave about myself before. And so you want to identify these things, right? Like you want to say, what am I doing? What's causing me to do that? And what am I getting out of it? And then take the second to form an opinion of it. Is this a good habit? Is it something that's beneficial for me? Is it a neutral habit? It's just kind of happening. It doesn't have a positive or negative really attached to it, but it's happening, right? So let's be mindful that it's happening at least. And is it a bad habit, right? I'm sure we could all think of tons of bad habits. Like for me, if I'm up past like 11 o'clock, I used to be really bad at like binge eating, like just snacks and snacks and snacks, because I can eat for days and never get full. It's a gift and a curse. But yeah, and so once you form those opinions of it, you kind of have a really clear idea of what's happening, right? And why you're doing it and how you feel about it. What are some, kind of input you may have about like, where they could start to look within their day? Maybe, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Because then you can also see where your productivity is going. If you're looking to be more productive with your business or anything that you're doing, and you realize that when you come home from work, you spend 2 hours in front of the television, and you just do it out of, just need a bit of a break. I just finished a full day of work. Okay, that's cool. You might be getting a benefit out of that, which is you just need to be brain dead for a little bit. Then I can relate. But do you need to do that for 2 hours? So depending on what it is that you're trying to achieve, maybe you don't have to completely change the habit, but maybe cut it down to 1 hour. Go watch one episode of a show that you like, or watch one movie, and don't extend it for the full 2 hours. So then you're still getting the reward that you're looking for, but you just working it on a compromise, like you're just compromising a little bit, so then you can use the other hour to slide in something more productive, something towards a goal that you're trying to achieve. And then maybe pair the habit of, okay, after the 1 hour of TV, then it's 1 hour of getting something else done. And yeah, So, but we have to start with being aware. We have the very first step is you need to know what's going on right now. And like I said, paying attention to what are the rewards that you're getting out of the habits that you're having and if they're good or bad.
Yeah, and you know, I think some places that everyone can start to look at that will make it a little bit easier for you to really start identifying habits is, you know, what is the first thing you do in the morning, right? What is your morning routine? You may not even have one, and like that was me like 8 months ago. I realized I woke up, I took my dog out, I made a cup of coffee, and then like whatever happened after that was just like I was just subjected to whatever was happening at the moment, and I would just go in that direction rather than having some sort of structure. If you have a job, like a career job, then you know what are you doing before you leave to go to work, and what are you doing when you return home from work, right? These are all kind of key points of time that we're used to always engaging with that event of that wake up, go to work, come home for work. That usually there's some habitual routines that are occurring there. The same thing goes for, you know, what do you do for before bed or before and after dinner, stuff like that. And if you're an entrepreneur, same stuff applies to you, right? It's, you know, what am I doing when I wake up? You know, what am I doing around the times where I sit down to actually do work? Like, be mindful of what you're doing while you're working, and what is the habits that you have there. Like, are you getting up every 20 minutes to just walk around because you just, I don't know, you get this like impulse, like I need to get out of here, I need to go do something for a second. You know, what is happening while you're working, and be mindful of those things and jot them down in the document. You know, if you want to make the document yourself, you can. There's also a blog post up on my site that's talking all about the things that we're talking about today. You can also download a template there. It is, I don't like to make kind of fancy ass templates and stuff. It's just straight bare bones columns. This is what this is. Just because you can take it, print it out, and there's no confusion of how do I use this, right? It's just so straightforward. So if you want to do that as well, you can. But yeah, guys, and the reason why we're talking about this and having you guys do this over the next 3 days, and on today's Saturday.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
my Sunday here. Since
Yeah.
Sunday in Australia, Saturday in the US.
So I think in about two days, we're gonna put up a
2
post in the
days.
group, and we're gonna want you to kind of, you know, take a picture of this, of you documenting these things, and share it out, and see what you're working with, and see what other people are working with. Because if some people have the same bad habits as you do, they may become a really huge support system for you. And then additionally, the reason why we're doing this is because we're going to be talking about habit pairing next week. It's a really powerful, easy to use strategy to help you target your bad and good habits, and how you can bring in some ideal habits that you have that you'd like to create in order to kind of minimize the bad, maximize the good, and bring in even better, which is what we're all kind of looking for. So that's why we want
Yeah,
you to take this observe and analyze process, is because it's going to empower you to do that habit pairing on a much higher level and a much more effective level.
exactly. And also remember, so for some of us, we don't actually have a routine. That was my case a while
Mm-hmm.
ago. So I didn't have any morning habits. And sometimes the lack of habits can be a non-productive thing, because it's like what Nick has been saying, that it's something that we train ourselves, train our brain to do with the minimum amount of energy, so we can just get on with the things that we need to do. So I've had to start building habits around my morning routines and things like that. So even if you go, I don't know if I have any habits, maybe think about where you should have some habits to help you be a bit more productive. So yeah.
Exactly. Well, awesome. Sweet. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you watch the video afterwards too, like just put a comment down below. What are some habits that you have now that you're aware of that you want to change? Or what are some ideal habits that you have? You know, just put it out there, because again, you never know. There's probably someone else in this group or watching this video that has those same things in common with you that can become a great support system and an accountability buddy, which I can't even
Yeah.
explain how much accountability is so helpful for me. I think I have like 4 or 5 different people I talk to each week about either life or business or relationships. It keeps me on my toes and keeps me moving forward. And I'm sure kind of the same thing too. So
Yeah, exactly.
until, let's look at the itinerary. Yeah. So
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Oh yeah, so you're Monday, mine Tuesday. So Monday night US, Tuesday morning Australia.
Yeah, so we'll be back then to talk a little bit more about this. And 2 days after that is when we're going to get into the habit pairing. So that way it gives you enough time to, you know, actually get down and dig into this process, be mindful, be observant, analyze it, and then we're going to get you moving forward directly after that. So until next time, guys, it's been real. Have a good day.
See you guys. Have a good weekend.
See you in the group.